Welcome back, dear viewers. This is the third part of Lost in the Forest. Keithlyn's lungs burned as she ran, her legs pumping furiously through the dense undergrowth. She had no idea where she was going, only that she had to get as far away from those monstrous creatures as possible. The beast's thundering footsteps behind her sent a jolt of pure terror through her body. She had never encountered anything like them before. Their unnatural size, the primal hunger in their eyes, and the way they moved with a predatory grace that defied the laws of nature. Keithlyn knew she was in a fight for her life. As she darted between the towering trees, Keithlyn's foot caught on a gnarled root, sending her sprawling to the ground. She let out a cry of pain as her knees hit the hard-packed earth, her hands scraping against the rough bark of a fallen branch. Keithlyn scrambled to her feet, her heart pounding in her ears, but it was too late. The first beast was upon her, its jaws gaping wide, saliva dripping from its fangs. Instinctively, Keithlyn threw up her hands, a desperate, futile attempt to shield herself. But as the creature lunged, something extraordinary happened. A blinding flash of light erupted from Keithlyn's palms, and a shimmering barrier sprang to life. Intercepting the beast's attack, the creature slammed into the barrier with a thunderous impact. Recoiling in confusion and pain, Keithlyn stared at her hands in stunned disbelief, unable to comprehend what had just occurred. She had never displayed any such power before, and yet it had manifested with a strength and intensity that had caught even the monstrous entity off guard. The creature let out a guttural roar, its glowing eyes fixed on Keithlyn with a renewed hunger. It was as if the barrier had only served to whet its appetite, to make it realize the true extent of her hidden potential. Realizing she had somehow tapped into a wellspring of power within herself, Keithlyn's fear began to transform into a glimmer of hope. Perhaps with this newfound ability, she stood a chance of escaping the relentless pursuit of these nightmarish creatures. Steeling her resolve, Keithlyn raised her hands once more, feeling the energy surge through her veins. She would not go down without a fight. This was her chance to discover the true extent of her extraordinary gifts, and she would use them to ensure her own survival. Keithlyn's eyes narrowed with determination as she stared down the massive creature. The barrier of energy still shimmered before her, holding the beast at bay for the moment, but she knew it wouldn't last. These creatures were driven by a primal, unyielding hunger, and they would not be easily deterred. Closing her eyes, Keithlyn tried to focus, to reach deeper within herself and understand the true nature of this newfound power. She could feel it coursing through her, a wellspring of energy that tingled in her fingertips, begging to be unleashed. As the creature lunged again, Keithlyn thrust her hands forward, channeling the power. This time, the barrier expanded, growing larger and brighter, until it enveloped the beast entirely. The creature howled in pain as the energy crackled and seared its flesh, driving it back. Keithlyn watched in awe as the barrier pulsed and contracted, trapping the beast in a cocoon of light. She had no idea how she was doing this, but there was an instinctive understanding that this was just the beginning of her abilities. Sensing an opening, Keithlyn turned and ran, her legs pumping as she pushed deeper into the forest. She could hear the enraged roars of the trapped creature behind her, and she knew it would only be a matter of time before it broke free. But Keithlyn was different now. She had tapped into a power that she had never even imagined, and she was determined to use it to ensure her own survival. The forest around her seemed to pulse with an otherworldly energy, as if it too was responding to the awakening of her abilities. As Keithlyn ran, she could feel the energy within her growing stronger, more focused. It was as if the very land itself was guiding her, helping her to channel this extraordinary power. Suddenly, Keithlyn caught sight of a towering cliff face up ahead, a narrow pass winding its way through the rocky terrain. Without hesitation, she surged forward, her hands outstretched as she summoned the barrier once more. This time, the shimmering shield expanded to create a pathway, parting the air before her and clearing a safe passage through the treacherous terrain. Keithlyn didn't question it, she simply ran, her feet barely touching the ground as she navigated the winding trail. leaving the monstrous creatures behind. As she emerged from the forest, Keithlyn felt a sense of exhilaration and disbelief. She had tapped into a power that she had never known she possessed, and it had saved her life. But what did this mean for her future? What other extraordinary abilities lay dormant within her, waiting to be discovered? Keithlyn knew one thing for certain: her life would never be the same again.